The order of seat this evening was drawn by random lots at the Chamber of Commerce this morning by the Chamber staff. So the order that the folks are sitting in before you was determined through that process. We also will have the opening statements and closing statements and the order of the questions rotated per that same process. So the process is random and fair in that regard. Each candidate will be allowed to give a 3-minute opening. Will be timed. You'll see the timer in front of you there, and please, I notice you're very disciplined. In the earlier one, we have a lot of ground to cover tonight, so we appreciate that same level of discipline this evening. We'll go through a series of questions, and candidates will be afforded a 1-minute response to each of the questions. And all questions, be they on this list or from the audience, must necessarily be generalizably answerable by all candidates. So there's no candidate-specific questions allowed in this forum per the rules. We'll conclude this evening with a 2-minute close on the part of each candidate, and then we'll be finished. Once again, appreciate y'all coming out tonight. We do look forward to seeing some questions from the audience to add to the list of questions we have here this evening. And we're going to go ahead and get started with the opening statements. And we'll go in the order of seat, and we'll start with Mr. Tommy Usery.
Thank you. Is this on?
I think if you see the green light, it is, and if it's not, push the button.
There we go. Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here with you this evening to discuss this very important position, open position for Greene County Judge. I want to thank the San Angelo Chamber of Commerce and Walt Koenig for moderating and for their support and hosting this event tonight so that you might have a chance to hear what we think and how we perform, essentially. My name is Tommy Usery. I grew up in San Angelo, Texas. I'm married to Patricia Usery, who is here in the audience tonight. We have 2 adult children and 2 grandsons. I went to the San Angelo Independent School District, 1st through 12th grade at Lakeview. I have a degree, a Bachelor of Science degree from Angelo State University. I spent about 10 years on the San Angelo Police Department, working in the patrol division as a detective in narcotics, doing undercover work, and in addition on motors. After those 10 years or so, I went to work for the Texas Department of Public Safety as a Texas Highway Patrol Trooper, finishing my law enforcement career after serving approximately 20 years. After finishing those 20 years, I went to law school, received a Doctor of Jurisprudence degree, and I've been practicing law for the last 26 years. My practice includes government and administrative law. I have a perspective of law enforcement and of the courts, having practiced in the area, including the area where the judge is ultimately determining individuals' rights, property rights, and privileges and responsibilities under the law. I've participated in front of Judge Floyd as an advocate for individuals who I've been appointed to represent in matters including mental health care issues. I'm familiar with the processes involved in the judicial side, and I look forward to serving each of you as the new Greene County Judge. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We now invite Mr. Joe Hyde to provide his opening statement.
My name is Joe Hyde. Before I get started, I just want to let y'all know something. We at San Angelo Live decided to live stream every forum this year that's going on. That includes the judges and things like that. And there's a couple guys I want to recognize. Matt Trammell's on camera right there. He's working after hours. Manny Diaz is back on the controls. I don't think John Bellini's here tonight, but he's here tonight. These guys have been working their tails off, and they're probably going to come to me wanting a raise. But anyway, I appreciate all the work that they're putting into putting this out on the internet, because in previous years, these forums didn't really matter much because no one ever saw them unless you went to them. And a lot of the forums, the same people would go to the same forums. So there was no way for any of us to reach the voters or to try to increase the awareness and the voter participation. So that's what they're into. Anyway, I'm not a local San Angelo guy. My dad was a U-2 pilot, and he was stationed at Laughlin. And about 4 months before I was born, he took off on a mission out of Barksdale Air Force Base in Louisiana, and he was going to go take pictures of medium-range ballistic missiles they're in Cuba. And somewhere over Cuba, he lost his autopilot. And on his way back, he hit updraft as he was approaching Key West, and the airplane went into a flat spin. And it spun all the way down to about 10,000 feet. He was trying to fight. He was fighting that airplane, trying to pull it out of a spin. He couldn't do it. And the procedures back then were to eject at 10,000 feet. So when he ejected, the ejection seat failed. And when the ejection seat failed, he said, well, the next thing to do is manual bailout. And he manually bailed out of that airplane. Anyway, here we are 50-something years later, and they never found his body. And I grew up under that shadow all my life of a dad who was a hero in the military, who flew U-2s over Cuba, and it was kind of like it was expected. I had to go into the Air Force. I had to go become a pilot. And it was kind of like a cloud, but it also kept me straight. It's like I had this, I don't know, I had a legacy that I had to honor. And anyway, the end of that, I guess, end of my growing up around that was I was on my final check ride in United States Air Force pilot training. And I drew the lucky straw. I had to fly from Vance Air Force Base down to Barksdale Air Force Base, land on the same runway my dad took off, and that was the first time I'd been to Barksdale. Anyway, I got an excellent on the check ride, and I got my wings. And I said, and Dad, I felt like my dad was saying, all right, go do what you need to do. And since then, I've been, I served 20 years in the Air Force, but every turn I tried to get out. But anyway, I'm here. I'm running for county judge. I'll tell you more about me as we go along.
Thank you very much. Now we invite Mr. Todd Kolls to deliver his opening statement.
Good evening. My name is Todd Kolls. I was raised in San Angelo. I graduated from Central High School in 1998. I met my wife in church youth group at Southland Baptist Church. We married in 2005. We were high school sweethearts. We married in 2005. We have 3 children that are 14, 11, and 8. I'm a full-time dad, first and foremost. I love my kids, I love my family, and I love to give back in any way I can to be a dad. We started Kolls Diamond and Design, our jewelry store in the bottom floor of the Cactus Hotel, in 2011. 2014, my wife was a special education teacher. She decided to retire and come help me with the store, and so she came and helped me. Ever since, 2016, we had some success with our store, and we started in a very small 500 square foot office there in the bottom floor of the Cactus Hotel. In that office, I had nothing. I didn't have a phone, I didn't have a computer, I didn't have a desk, I didn't have jewelry cases, I didn't have jewelry, but I had a jewelry store. And I found a desk at Christians in Action for $50. I had a cell phone. I had an old laptop that my kids had put a lot of games on and movies on, and you had to restart the thing every 10 minutes. I had grand opening from the Chamber of Commerce. They came for the ribbon cutting, and my mom and my wife got all of their jewelry out and came and put it in my jewelry cases so it looked like I had a jewelry store. And that's how we got started, and that is how we started our business, and we have fought tooth and nail to keep that business going. 2016, we were able to go and purchase another jewelry store here in town, and we turned a 500 square foot office into a 3,000 square foot fully functional wholesale design, repair, and retail business. I am a fighter. I'm going to ask tough questions. I'm going to start with the problem, and I'm going to back my way into a positive solution. And that's how I deal with my family, that's how I deal with my business, and and that is how I'll deal with Greene County. Thank you.
And rounding out the four for the opening, we'll have Elaine Carter.
Good evening again. It's wonderful to see everybody, and congratulations to the other three for making it this far with us. It's our last forum. Feels like graduation, but we did it. Elaine Carter, run for Greene County Judge. I was born and raised here in San Angelo. I was a graduate of Central High School in 2006. Went on to Angelo State, where I was pre-med. I have a biology degree, which I graduated in 2010, bachelor's, and went into the second degree nursing program and have another bachelor's in nursing, where I worked as a nurse for 6 years, 2 years in the ER at Community Hospital and 4 years as an operating nurse at Shannon. I started my working career in high school, 14 years of age, with a lawn service. Grew that to 60 clientele through my college degrees and gave it up to pursue the nursing career. I was elected into the District 5 City Council in 2016. I served the last 5.5 years in that position. Before I go on with that, I met my wife in 2011 in our last month of nursing school. We were married in 2013 and have 2 boys, one Jackson, 5 years old, who's pre-K at Cornerstone, and Cohen, who is 2 years old. Definitely keeps us busy. We thought Cohen was going to be the relaxed child, and he turned out just to be just like his older brother, and keeps us running around. I have a construction company now. In 2017, 1 year after I was elected, I formed it to go back to being self-employed to help out with my schedule's sake to serve my community. 2016, I ran for council, won it against an incumbent by walking streets, the way that I am doing this campaign, by getting out, meeting people, and serving the community. I wanted to serve our community because 2 things. At the time of being elected at council, we were expecting Jackson. And I knew I wanted our community to grow up like, in a way that they wanted to grow up and to live in. It was heartbreaking to see my friends graduate high school and to feel like they needed to move on when San Angelo and Greene County and the Concho Valley has so much more to offer than they expected. Angelo State is growing. Our population is growing. More services are coming here and have came here since then. And I am running for Greene County Judge to enhance that to the best of my ability, to bring more of those services here, and to create an outcome to where we can be proud of. So I appreciate your consideration and your vote come March 1st. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate the opening statements. We're going to go now to the questions. We will rotate the first asked person, as is customary in these situations, starting with Joe Hyde this time. And our first question is, if elected, what is the number one thing you want to accomplish during your tenure as judge?
The number one thing that we need to accomplish during my tenure as judge is there's only one, I've covered the news for a long time, there's only one politician that's in the school board, the county commissioner's court, or the city council who's ever called for a tax rate cut. We've been keeping the tax rate the same around here forever. You've seen your property valuations go up and up and up. And I feel like it's sort of like we can go after the appraisal district and try to change out all the appraisers or hammer on them, but they're just doing what their job because they're controlled by the Texas State Comptroller, and they'll come and audit them. So the one valve that we have is the tax rate. And I'm not promising a lot because the county is just the cherry on top of the cupcake as far as how much you're paying in taxes. But if one person can get elected saying, I'm going to cut that tax rate and I'm going to cut it every year, then maybe we can start a trend and we get someone elected to city council, or maybe 2 or 3 people elected to city council. Maybe we get some more county commissioners to come along with me. And maybe eventually we can get some people that are in government who hear your cry that we need to lower those tax rates, because the biggest problem is the little guy, the guy who lives in an apartment. Think about that guy. He doesn't have a homestead exemption. What's going on?
I'm sorry, we have an issue with the timekeeper. It's these.
Well, the timekeeper
responses-
gave me extra time, so you give these guys extra time. I can rap all night for about this tax rate thing. But anyway, vote for me if you want to get the tax rates decreased. It's not a difficult thing to do. And we also, I mean, if you look at things that are happening, our sales taxes are going up and up and up as far as the revenue goes. We have this public defender office that's removing a lot of our expense structure as far as for providing the defenders. Are you trying to ring the bell now?
Yep, well,
Well, you got it upside down. Now it says 1 minute.
1 minute, yeah.
So I have still 1 minute. Y'all don't want to hear me for 1 minute. Let's go to the next guy.
Well, in fairness to the situation, I think we should give everyone the same amount of time
Yeah.
to answer this first question. It's a general question, so let's go ahead and do that, and the remaining questions will be 1 minute responses. So, in the spirit of fairness, we're going to go with the 3 minutes, and we're going to go down to Mr. Kolls. If elected, what's the number one thing you would like to accomplish during your tenure as judge?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that? I'm watching over here. I apologize.
If elected, what is the number one thing you would like to accomplish during your tenure as judge?
The number one thing I would like to accomplish is economic development. Without question, we need to raise our tax base here in Tom Greene County. We need to bring more business. We need to bring more industry. We need to bring more jobs. We need to utilize the vacant area around our airport. We need to utilize the new rail port. We need to utilize I-27 that's going to come through, as well as I-14 that's going to come through. I want to see in 20 years, whenever we drive through San Angelo, or if someone leaves, like Lane was saying, if someone leaves for high school and they come back in 20, 30 years, I want them to drive through San Angelo and go, wow, this place has really built. This is not the same place. Some places I know of, you drive through, it looks the same as it did 30 years ago, 20 years ago. I want to build economic development. And that's my specialty, and that's what I think I can bring to the county, and that's what I think I can bring to the tax base to get that tax base raised. Inflation is a real problem, and that's a nationwide problem. And every expense that we have as individuals and every expense we have as a county has to pay for that inflation. So just blanketing across the board saying, well, I'm just going to lower taxes, it's going to be very, very tricky to do. But we can, since the county is in such good shape with the leadership of Steve Floyd, the county's in great shape. And we can try to keep the tax rate stagnant, and we can try to keep economic development growing through COSA DC, through the City of San Angelo Development Corporation, working with the county and the chamber. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving on to Mr. Elaine Carter, same question. If elected, what would be the number one thing you would like to accomplish during your tenure as judge?
Not to beat the dead horse, but economic development. The only way to decrease the tax rate is through increasing our tax base, like Mr. Kolls has said, and we have said in multiple forums. You have to increase that, or you have to cut services. One of my goals, this is a multi-part question on this, but one of my goals is to create a better public safety through volunteer fire departments, through our sheriff's departments, through our jailers. The only way to do that is to help with the retention rate. The retention rate along with all county employees. We saw this at the city, our retention rates in the police department. We were losing officers to Abilene, sergeants who could go back to Abilene to work as a patrol officer and make more. We are facing that here in Tom Greene County. When I was on the city council, we worked to give them raises, and we did that. We have thus far retained more officers since then. That is going to be my goal, and like I said in my opening statement, is to create a community that we're proud of. We can create a community that the citizens want to stay here, they want to grow in, they want to raise families in, but we also have to focus for the future. I served on the Ports to Plains Committee, and we advocated for the interstates to come through I-27. I-14 determined their designation before I-27, so that was federally funded, a federal initiative, and we are intersection, a crossroads for both of the interstates. Now's the time to prepare, because if we have interstates coming through, we're going to have an influx of population, we're going to have an influx of businesses, And that part will be a good thing because that tax base will increase at that point. But we have to get more sheriff's deputies, more jailers to keep our public safe. We have to have funding towards our volunteer fire departments because as the expansion grows, the city of San Angelo has only so many places to develop. And what we've seen is developers going outside into the county, into the ETJ. The regulations that we have inside the city has almost determined that it's easier for them to go out there. That's going to create water issues. That's going to create public safety issues. Water was one of the reasons that I ran for city council in 2016. We bought the Ford Ranch in 2017. It retained the water rights. We now have 50 years worth of water in the city of San Angelo. We're going to have to focus on that through the Concho Valley and Tom Green County. As the development rolls out towards the outside skirts, every time you punch a hole in the ground, the springs are going to be depleted. So economic development is the only way to stay on top of that to bring that base. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Rounding out question number one, we'll have Tommy Usery. Same question. If elected, what's the number one thing you would like to accomplish during your tenure as judge?
All right, thank you. In 2 words, economic development. That doesn't happen in a vacuum. Let me just mention a few people who are involved in economic development. Obviously, the Chamber of Commerce, the City of San Angelo Development Corporation, those 2 entities and several others, including the Concho Valley Workforce Board, the ASU Small Business Development Center, the David Hirschfield Department of Engineering at ASU, the Texas Manufacturers Assistance Center, the Society of Manufacturing Engineers, and of course, Judge Floyd, his staff, all of the commissioners, Ralph Hosher, Sammy Farmer, Bill Ford, and Rick Bacon. Those are just the leaders, if you will, of economic development in the Concho Valley and specifically in Tom Green County. The judge and the county commissioners play a pivotal and important integral part in economic development. We can't each go out and develop business to come into our community, and we have agreements with our partners that they will work on behalf of our community, and we support them in that process. It's synergistic in that they support us as well by their effort in getting new business, new industry, increasing agricultural in our community. That all adds to our tax base. So their mission and our mission along with them is to retain the industry that we have. And perhaps tonight we'll have time to talk a little bit about some of their success stories. I mentioned a couple of them. That's actually remarkable. J&J Lamb Processing, where they actually were able to bring that industry here in a matter of 30 days. That is phenomenal work to get that particular industry here, and they're providing a great impact in terms of dollars to our community and employment opportunities for citizens of our county. And we can talk about that in some detail, the economic impact that one business has made. Economic development, that affects everything else that we do. It affects our tax rate. It affects the resources that we need to provide. It impacts our viability as a community, along with water resources as well. That's very, very important. Viability, livability, and enjoyment of life in our community. Without this magnitude of effort on the part of our partners and the county officials themselves, our community would be much less than it is today, and kudos to everyone who participates in this process.
Thank you very much. That concludes the first question. Some folks have come in since we began. I want to remind everyone that we are taking questions from the audience on index cards in written form. If you wish to submit a question, raise your hand and someone will bring you a card and a pen. You can do that. I'd remind everyone that we want to make the questions generally answerable by all candidates, not specific to any one candidate. So let's work with that, and I'll work on getting those questions into the lineup this evening. So let's move on to number 2. We're going to rotate the first answer here. It'll be Todd Kolls this time, and we're going to get a little more specific as far as what's going on, starting with the American Rescue Plan. For those of you who aren't aware of this, the American Rescue Plan, or ARPA, has brought significant funds to Greene County. And my question is, for number 2, what projects would you like to see undertaken using the balance of these funds, somewhere around $10 million?
Yes, thank you. The ARPA funds we had were around 18 million. We've spent some, so we have about 11.5 million, 10 million left. The main concern that I know about right now, I'm going to tell you, these county commissioners have got to communicate together, because the only one that I know about immediately that I think would be beneficial is the dam in Christoval. If that dam goes, the water supply for Christoval goes, the pressure that the pumps use to get all of those new homes, water up to the homes, that all goes away too. So I know about the Christoval issue, and I know that would be something that would be beneficial to our community to get that taken care of. That's really the only major project that I know right now. I know we're going to go for some more ARPA funds, and I know we're going to probably get some more through federal funding. So we've got a lot of money coming our way that we're going to be able to do some projects with. Thanks.
Appreciate that. Elaine Carter, I'd like to ask the same question. What project would you like to see undertaken using the remains of the ARPA funds?
That the ARPA funds have to relate to. One of them that is being infrastructure. Like I related to in the first question, infrastructure relates to water. In Precinct 4, we have Miller's Crossing. We have the dams. We have water problems out there. We have infrastructure problems throughout the entire county. Water, like I said, needs to be fixed. That's going to be one of the issues that we can fix with the funds available. Streets, bridges, drainage. Drainage is also a main issue, because out there in the farmlands that are being developed, we have new houses going up, and we have to be able to fix the issues there to where the older houses in the developed areas do not flood. So there's a wide range of areas that you can use these funds for.
Thank you very much. Moving to Tommy Usery, same question. What project would you like to see undertaken using what remains of the ARPA funds?
Thank you. The most critical issue that I see facing our county is something that needs to be addressed today even. It certainly would be addressable if it's not addressed before then, by the time one of us is sitting in the judge's seat, is the issue in Christoval. We all want to be good stewards of our water resources that are the lifeblood of our communities, and Christoval is teetering on not having water. They have only 1 of 4 water wells that are functional at this point. It serves a good percentage of the county, of the downtown area. And then also connected to that is the dam. That, I think, needs to be addressed as soon as it can be. The folks down there are just crossing their fingers and holding their breath, hoping that nothing happens to either the dam or that last well that's remaining that's functional. That would be my first issue with those funds.
Thank you very much. And rounding out question number 2, we have Joe Hyde, same question. What projects would you like to see undertaken using the remains of the ARPA funds?
On economic development, everything they're talking about here is long-term. When you're making a promise that you're going to keep the tax rates low, or you're going to lower the tax rate every year, you got to figure out where the target is. And the target is not a long-term boondoggle from coast of DC that the judge does not control. The target should be the money that's coming in from ARPA, and also there's more broadband internet money coming in. And here's why broadband internet is important. You guys laugh at it, but it's important because there are people in San Angelo that work for Google. There are people who are working remote that have great jobs. They have, $6-figure, $400,000 jobs. They say they're in San Angelo. That is an opportunity for us to attract good taxpayers into this town. The other thing is smart guys who can do startups. You can do a startup on the internet very easily. And we can attract those people. We can get, I mean, we have Time Clock Plus. Everyone agrees that that's a success story, right? And that's been here for 20 years. Well, imagine a Time Clock Plus times 2 that was started here because we had really, really good broadband internet with that
Can we
money.
please
and you can do it.
adhere to the time? Thanks. All right. I'm going to go off and into the audience questions at this time. Seems to there's a lot of library interest, and so I'd like to craft a question around the library system in Tom Greene County as follows. The library is one of the larger employers in the county in terms of head count. What is your, I'm sorry, we're going to start with Elaine Carter on this one. What is your view of the role of the Tom Greene Library in Tom Greene County going forward?
Let me take 2 seconds to correct myself on the previous statement. I said Miller's Crossing, it's Mineral Wells Crossing. The library is a crucial resource. It provides resources for college studies, high school studies, leisure, and the vast array that it provides. You can take your children there. They're in the learning stage. If you need to do a research paper, they have resources there for the community. We are paying for it. It needs to be utilized, and it is being utilized tremendously. We go there all the time with our kids. We get children's books. So my output on the library is one of those very crucial entities that is loved by the public and loved by many, many people in the governmental bodies.
Thank you very much. We're going to go on to Tommy Usery, same question. What do you see as the role of the Tom Greene Library System in Tom Greene County?
Thank you. I believe that their role is currently and should be and always should be education. It provides great service, particularly to the children in our community, to learn to read and write and enjoy learning to read, learning stories, fostering that sense of adventure and education in the youngsters. In addition to that, obviously, they provide other reading sources and online sources as well, and we should look to expand those things where it's appropriate. In addition to the educational value which they provide to us each and every day, they also provide to the community a place to meet, if you will. It's a nice venue to be in that's quiet, where you can actually conduct business, and they do provide those services. In fact, I have done depositions in the library where it was nice and quiet, and we were able to conduct our business quickly and efficiently and move on.
Thank you very much. Moving on to Joe Hyde, same question. What do you see as the role of the Tom Greene County Library System in Tom Greene County?
Obviously, the library has books in it, but I think the library is serving a different and more important purpose as we get into the future. We can get books online, right? We can get a book on Kindle. So a lot of people don't need to go to the library and check out a book. But what about learning about how to do Excel or Microsoft Word, or get skills on the computer, or even learn how to do video editing? Those kinds of training opportunities that the library can provide people can enhance people's lives in Tom Greene County. And also, the library needs to be accessible to everyone, no matter what your income level, race, culture, everything. We need to make sure those libraries are open and available to them.
Thank you very much. And rounding out question number 3, Todd Kolls. What do you see as the role of the Tom Greene County Library System in Tom Greene County?
I'm a little surprised that this is an issue, because I've been asked several times about, well, what about the library? And I cannot imagine our community without a public library. I don't know why it's even an issue. Not to mention, I went to the old library, not a lot, but I did go to the old library that was in the bottom floor of the Ed B. Keys. Our new library is so cool. And you take your kids there, they're at Disneyland. I mean, it's a great place. And I know you can get books online, I know you can do all that, but it's still the experience of walking into our community's library, seeing all of the art, seeing all of the things that you can do there, taking your kids, going and getting a book myself. I was looking for my Blue Cross Blue Shield card yesterday at my doctor's appointment, and I couldn't find it, of course, but I did find my Tom Greene County Library card. So I can't imagine a community without support and everything that we need to keep that library going and going strong.
Thank you very much. I'm going to do a deeper dive on the economic development question since there seems to be some diversity of opinion there. I'd like to see that a little bit more, see a little more about that. And I'm just going to ask a rather simple question, starting with Tom Usery. What do you see the county's role is in economic development?
Would you repeat it? I'm sorry.
What do you see the county's role is in economic development?
The role of the county in economic development is to be a partner with the Chamber of Commerce, their economic development team, to be a partner with the San Angelo Development Corporation. And while we're not out as a member shaking the bushes looking for new businesses to move here, we're working in partnership and in support role with those partners to provide new industry and retention of industry that we already have here, and to assist in getting these things moved forward through the legal process and getting the agreements approved by, in our case, by the county, and to evaluate it, to make announcements to make sure that we're making a smart economic development move rather than one just for the sake of development. So as a guardian to some extent, and also as a partner in support of your mission at the Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you very much. I'd like to ask Joe Hyde the same question. What do you see as the county's role is in economic development?
I look at it as a mission. I told you we need to lower our tax rate. But to do that, we need to do some things. We need a set of objectives that are obtainable. The county judge doesn't control Costa DC. The county judge does not control the mayor of San Angelo. The county judge has very specific roles, primarily with Goodfellow Air Force Base, ARPA funds, we talked about that, and also this new broadband internet grant program that the Governor Abbott is rolling out next year. We can't control what Michael Looney recruits into this town. The other thing the county doesn't have, it doesn't have a sustainable revenue model around economic development. We don't have a half-cent sales tax that goes into a Costa County, DC, for example. You don't want the county getting too involved in economic development because you're already paying for it at the city. You're already paying. Why do you want to pay for two of them? So as a county judge, sure, I'll help. I'll be a spokesman. I'll volunteer. But my goal is Goodfellow and broadband internet and ARPA funds that are in my office already.
Thank you very much. Todd Kolls, same question. What do you see the county's role is in economic development?
As the one that signed the budget this last year for Costa DC, I can tell you that the county only contributed to Costa DC this last year about $30,000, which was a minimal amount of money compared to the other revenues that we take in. The way that you help as county judge is being available. When Michael Looney brings in a CEO, when Guy Andrews brings in someone, they used to call me because I was the president of the board. And they would say, Todd, he's landing at 2 o'clock. We got to go take him out to the industrial park and we got to show him. You know, that is what the county judge is going to need to do too. He's got to be accessible. He's got to be a community leader, and he's got to show those CEOs and those business managers and those people that are thinking about moving their business here that, hey, they had the county judge there to meet us. They had the mayor there to meet us. They were all in this together, and we have to work together as a community to show these people we're serious and we're ready to get to work.
Thank you very much, and we'll round out question number 4 with Elaine Carter. Same question. What do you see as the county's role is in economic development?
I see the county's main role is definitely a facilitator, a partner, a face, and being a partner with the chamber to bring in those entities for economic development. You are there to help and sell. You are a salesman to this community. Like we've said before, county doesn't have very much of a role, but being there as a spokesman to sell the oasis out here in West Texas. As a company, why would you want to come here? Well, let me tell you why. You have to be knowledgeable of this community and using those resources to show them, hey, maybe we do want to come here. we might not have to go over to Abilene or Midland. I'm going to go to San Angelo. I'm going to go out into the outskirts, into Wall, into Cristoval. You are a salesman, a facilitator, and a spokesman for the county.
Okay, appreciate that. I'm going to shift gears now. We're going to move into some discussions around budget process, and the like. I'll say one of the duties of the county judge is to lead the development and implementation of the county budget, which is significant and a big undertaking. My question is, and we're going to start this one with Joe Hyde, what's your assessment of the current tax rate and current budget, and are there any changes or innovations that you would encourage?
My assessment of the current what?
Okay, I'll say it again. What is your assessment of the current tax rate and current budget? Okay. And are there any changes or innovations that you would encourage?
I think in the first time the first year is whoever's going to be sitting in the county judge seat. He's going to get hit by those 26 elected officials and department heads wanting to raise their budgets, raise their spending. I know that's going to happen because the inflation's gone up 9%. Back in December, it's gone up 7% this past month in January. We're going to have a lot of pressure to raise all of these budgets up. My assessment of the budget is a lot of things that county could, this is big picture. You can only work around the edges. You can only work around the edges because you got to go get, 2 other county commissioners to agree with you on a lot of these budget decisions. Steve Floyd has kept a very open budgeting process. I would continue to do that, to be very transparent. We'll have hearings. When people come forward to ask for money, you'll be able to see it. Hopefully we can get our IT working so we can get really good cameras and get them on YouTube. Anyway, that's what I think an open, transparent budget process is the biggest thing.
Thank you very much. We'll go on to Todd Kolls. It's the same question. What's your assessment of the current tax rate and current budget? And are there any changes or innovations that you would encourage?
I watched and/or went to quite a bit of the budget hearings this last summer, and I can, from what I could see and from what I could hear from the judge and the other county commissioners, we have a solid budget right now, and our tax rate is good. One of the innovations that I have been thinking about and I've been trying to figure out how to get done is the biggest cost in the county is that county jail. Period. Criminal justice is a major problem. One of the things that struck me is that when we have a state conviction in our courtrooms and the guilty verdict comes down, the state of Texas has 45 days to get their papers shuffled around to get that person out of our county and into a state facility. 45 days, they're still on our dime. I want to work with the state, and I want to have something done with the West Texas County Judges Association and the County Judges Association of Texas to work together to get that. As soon as that guilty verdict comes, they're on the state's dime, they're off of our dime. Because even if they go past 45 days, we can charge the state for that, but they just ignore it and they don't pay the bill.
Okay, we'll move to Elaine Carter. Same question. What's your assessment of the current tax rate and current budget? And are there any changes or innovations that you would encourage?
We do have a healthy budget here in Tom Green County, but we walk a fine line determined by the state inflationary rates and expenditures determined by the criminal justice system, capital murder cases. That is one outcome that we do not have a influence on. It will affect our budget. My assessment on the tax rate, can we come down? Absolutely. But I'm not going to say it over again. I'm not going to go in depth, but economic development is the only way to decrease that rate. That rate, we are approximately 20 cents higher than Lubbock County. But if you looked at the difference of industries in Lubbock County versus in Tom Green County, you see what they have up there, that you see the industries. Let's tap into those industries. Let's bring those here to where we can, over time, lower that rate. Innovations, industry, tech industry, manufacturing, distribution, everything in our business park that we have, that's what I would focus on.
Okay, Mr. Usery, rounding out question number 5, I'll ask you the same. What's your assessment of the current tax rate and current budget? And are there any changes or innovations that you would encourage?
Oh, thank you, sir. The tax rate currently has been lowered. This past year, we got a tiny lowering of the tax rate itself. Without having more information, you can't determine or promise whether or not a tax rate is appropriate. We would need to go look to see after we get there, whether or not in our year, after our first year, whether or not a rate is in order or not. There is a plan each year from year to year, and you can go back and look at as far back as you want to look. There is an increase in the budget each year that's planned for, that's accounted for each succeeding year. So I think the budget is pretty solid. In terms of innovation, I see a couple of things. One is that we have to get our court system back open. The closure of our courts for the past 2 years is not the local judges' issue. They didn't do that. However, it is still nonetheless closed by order of the Texas Supreme Court. We have to get those open and get those cases moved so those people are out of jail.
Okay, thank you very much. That rounds out question number 5. I'd like to do a little bit of a deeper dive on the budget questions, and it pertains to employment and staff of the county level. I'm just going to read some things up front, and then I'll ask the question. 2 years ago, Greene County undertook a study and analysis of county employee compensation that revealed a lack of competitiveness when compared to other counties in Texas. In fact, even with a $1.2 million additional investment in salaries and benefits, our county employee compensation was only around the 60th percentile statewide. And with the current inflationary environment and the competition for qualified employees, this is certainly going to be an issue. So the next question I'm going to ask, starting with Todd Kolls, is given all the challenges, how would you ensure that we recruit and retain qualified county employees for the short, medium, and long term?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
Given the challenges of how would you ensure that we recruit, retain the most qualified county employees in the short, medium, and long term?
First week I would, if I am elected, the first week, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around and I'm going to meet every county employee. How you make people feel appreciated is you get in front of them, you look at them in the eye, and you ask them, what are your goals? What do you want from this job? Is this just a job for you, or do you really want to make this a career? And I do that in my business. I try to do that with my employees now, and I'm going to do it with the county employees as well. This is not going to sound good, I guess, but there's jewelers in Dallas that make more money than jewelers in San Angelo, I can assure you. We are what we are out here, and the compensation is what it is in a lot of ways. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't have people that are good at what they do, trying to retain them here and give them an honest day's pay. That is absolutely crucial. One of the biggest challenges is going to be out there at the jail. We cannot get that jail staffed up to 100%. We have to budget for 100%, but we can't get it staffed to about 70%, and we really need to work on that.
Thank you very much. I'd like to move to Elaine Carter. Same question. Given many challenges, how would you ensure that we recruit and retain the most qualified county employees for the short, medium, and long term?
Retention rates is one of the main issues that we dealt with upon the 6 budget cycles that we had at the city council level. We saw this annually. The way that we fix that is to determine a plan to give the highest pay related to our comp rates for the relative counties that we compare to. Having that plan in place and also having a happy employee is a healthy community. We want to make sure that they want to stay here and create an employment, keep their families here. This is their livelihood. This is their area that they want to stay in. Retention rates, we've determined that through all of our city employees and our PD, our fire department. And using those goals and having that plan in place is the same thing that I would step up to at the county judge level.
Thank you very much. I'd like to move to Tommy Usery. Same question. Given many challenges, how would you ensure that we recruit and retain qualified county employees for the short, medium, and long term?
That's a tough question, and here's why. We have to compete against everybody in the state of Texas for county employees. We have a magnitude of specific skills that are required to operate our county. As Mr. Hyde suggested, and Mr. Kolls too, I believe, the biggest issue we have is out at the detention center. That ranges anywhere from 49 to 70 employees short, and that's working through COVID as well. When I spoke to the sheriff about this issue, I believe he said that it had been 8 years since they'd had a pay raise. We cannot continue to operate a multi-million-dollar facility with a handful of people. The sheriff has to comply with the Texas Commission on Jail Standards requiring a certain number of staff per inmate, and the only way we're ever going to get that facility fully functional is to have people hired. We have to offer a living wage to them, and I think we must consider a wage increase for the people at the detention center.
Thank you very much. And rounding out the sixth question, I'll ask Joe Hyde the same question. Given many challenges, how would you ensure that we recruit and retain qualified employees for the county in the short, medium, and long term?
Well, I don't think any of you guys have looked at the budget close enough, because already programmed in that budget is anywhere from 1 to 3 cents reduction in the tax rate. And the only reason why we wouldn't reduce that tax rate is if we spend money from the county on some big capital improvement project. And I don't think we need to buy any capital improvement contract or project in this economy right now. My gut doesn't feel good about it. I think there's times where it is good. As far as the jailers is a big problem. You know what? It's a problem in every county in Texas. If we raise the jailer's salary or wage from $17.22 to about $21.50, that's what Hannah thinks we need. It's going to cost us, I don't know, $1.6 million. $1.6 million is 2 cents on your tax rate. So we can probably solve that problem with the money that we're projecting out of the next couple of years. And I think there's probably more money. It's going to actually increase more because of the Biden inflation.
Okay, thank you very much. We're going to move on to question number 7. And again, I'm going to shift gears, and we're going to go to some of the important roles of the judge, specifically emergency management. Question number 7, we'll start with Elaine Carter. We've seen several emergencies and disasters in our community over the years. And the question is, as county judge, how do you see your role, and how would you address the mitigation and management of natural and man-made disasters?
I was hands-on the last 2 disasters that we had, and when I was on city council, I would be hands-on and very proactive as the county judge level. We had an ice storm that was preceded by the pollen contamination, so we were hit with a double whammy there. And we had to deal with that. We had to be out there with our employees delivering water, getting water towers functioning again up in the high plains. Starting out with the low plains, we had to get them repressurized. Being hands-on is the way that I have functioned in the past, and that's the way that I will function on an emergency management level. Government 418 code gives the county judge the sole signatory power to declare a disaster. That's going to be crucial to be able to provide funding for the expenses that we occur during an emergency disaster. But on a day-to-day level, you have volunteer fire departments operating out there, getting in touch with them and communicating on what their needs are, because that's their lives, the community, and the assets and their livelihood of their homes.
Thank you very much. Tommy Usery, same question. As county judge, how do you see your role, and how would you address the mitigation and management of natural and man-made disasters?
Thank you. As a Texas Department of Public Safety trooper in emergency management, I served as a first responder. That's been my only experience in emergency management. I've been on the front lines in hurricane duty and in flooding, hurricane duty on the coast, and flooding in Houston, saving one life at a time. The county judge has to focus more broadly than that. And so I see the county judge's leadership role as being his primary role, relying upon those people who have the skill sets and who have trained and who are emergency management experts. And so we would serve as a leadership role. We would monitor. We would consider second, third, fourth opinions, and we would determine through the skill set of the people who work for the county what the appropriate courses of action would be, the most efficient and appropriate courses of action, and I would take their advice.
Thank you very much. We're going to move on to Joe Hyde, same question. As county judge, how do you see your role, and how would you address the mitigation and management of natural and man-made disasters?
The county judge has to maintain his cool under fire. And you have to be there. You have to instill confidence in people. And a lot of times, you're probably going to have a lot of people who are scared. And if you play the game face, and you got to know what the heck's going on. You got to surround yourself with the people who are smart, who are going to fix some problems, and you need to communicate that to the people around you and let you know, everyone, the citizens. And I think the county could do a lot better job, and I'm not saying they're doing a bad job, but they could do a lot better job with reaching out to the media contacts and things like that. I kind of know how to play that game, and I'll help the county do that. One last thing on what a county judge can do. I was really impressed with Montgomery County judge when that town ran out of Regeneron, the therapeutics for COVID. He got on Facebook and he got more Regeneron for his county. So I might have to do something like that. So that's how I view it.
Thank you very much. And rounding out question number 7, Mr. Kolls, same question. As county judge, how do you see your role, and how would you address the mitigation and management of natural and man-made emergencies?
The most important thing you have to remember in an emergency situation is communication. We have to communicate. We have to communicate with the DPS. We have to communicate with the Border Patrol. We have to communicate with the SAPD, Sheriff's Department, every volunteer fire department, San Angelo Fire Department. We all have to be in communication together. You also have to be calm and collected. You cannot lose your mind in an emergency situation. You have to remain calm. One of the things that I would do is I would reach out to every volunteer fire department and I would go to their meetings. I would get to know the people in charge of those volunteer fire departments. I'm going to meet all the Border Patrol agents in our area. I'm going to get to know all of the game wardens. I am going to have my phone number in every one of their phones, and they're going to know that if they need something from me, they can just call Todd, and I need to have their numbers in my phone. So if I need something from them, I can call them. Communication is absolute key in any emergency situation, and I'm going to handle it on a personal level.
Thank you very much. We're going to move on to question number 8, and we're going to start with Tommy Usery this time. We just had our chamber luncheon on housing. It's a big topic of conversation in our community. It ties to economic development. It ties to quality of life. It ties to a lot of different things. A lot of folks are working on housing right now in a lot of different ways. My question for you, sir, is what do you see the county's role is in the encouragement of the construction of new homes and the building of the housing inventory?
I think the county judge could have a tremendous impact in this area, providing leadership. If we're going to have economic development, we need those businesses to be here to employ our people, and we need places for them to live. That's the first issue. The second issue is housing that's appropriate for folks who live off base. We have to think about the very important Goodfellow Air Force Base is critical to our community, and we do not want to lose Goodfellow in any way. And one of the issues we've had in the past is we didn't have appropriate housing. So I would support the industry in general terms, and specifically if there's a particular issue or crisis that comes up, to get the appropriate housing for our folks at Goodfellow. We also have an appropriate role to play with housing around ASU. That's gotten better over the last few years. Certainly, it's better now than it was whenever I went to ASU. But we want to make sure that we have the appropriate places for folks to live off campus, but near the campus, and at an affordable rate that's appropriate housing. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to move to Joe Hyde. Same question. What do you see the county's role is for increasing the housing inventory in Greene County?
Get out of the way and let the entrepreneurs take care of it. But there is one problem we have in the county. The county can't take on a whole lot of roads. We're not like the city where we can charge for sewer and water. We don't have revenue generators for new developments and things. That's going to be an issue. I have talked to countless people because I've knocked on a lot of doors out in the county, and they talk about how the county won't take over my road because it's not built to specifications, and it's going to cost us $500,000 to get this road back onto things. We don't want a whole bunch of colonias in Greene County. So what I would want to do, one of the first things I'd like to do is look at our road situation. How many miles of roads can we add to our infrastructure and still be able to pay for it? And if we can't, how do we get the money to pay for it? So when you're building these nice communities, like I live in Dove Creek, and we live on county roads, but some are nice houses. they don't have county roads, and that's a big problem. That's the biggest complaint I hear out of Precinct 4, for example.
Thank you very much. We're going to move to Todd Kolls. Same question. What do you see the county's role is for increasing the housing inventory in Greene County?
When I started on the City of San Angelo Development Corporation, we didn't talk housing all that much. And I'm going to give a shout out here to someone that deserves it, but Mr. Guy Andrews, whenever he was hired as the executive director for the City of San Angelo Development Corporation, he came in and we said, well, hey, nice to meet you. And he said, we got to do something about San Angelo's housing immediately. We had a big meeting at City Hall. Okay, we had the mayor, we had some city council folks there, we had 8 or 9 builders there, we had land developers. I mean, it was a room of about 30 people, and Guy Andrews is sitting there telling us all, we've got to get this housing study done. We need this housing study. And no one would agree as to who could pay for this housing study. So I got Guy Andrews and Michael Looney, and I took them out in the hallway, and I said, hey, is there any way that Costa DC can just pay for this thing? And they're like, yeah, you can do that. And I said, but I want to guarantee that we're going to get paid back for it somehow. And they said, oh, yeah, sure. Well, went back in the meeting, and I stood up and I said, Costa DC is going to fund this housing project. Didn't get paid back.
Thank you very much. And rounding out question number 8, Elaine Carter, same question. What do you see the county's role is for increasing housing inventory in Greene County?
This is currently the industry that I am in now. I'm a builder and remodeler and also have investment properties. So I see the impact that we have on our citizens here on affordable housing. Affordable housing through that housing study that we at the city in Costa DC instilled, it was crucial. We figured out the median rates that we needed and landlords should be charging. We found out what size of facilities we needed to house, whether it be a 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, were they families coming in, was it Goodfellow, was it Angelo State students, single parents, but the affordability is the main factor. Being the county judge, you are a facilitator to that. Encouraging development is one of the only ways to stay on top of that. There is not many codes out in the county that you have an effect on, but we are in a free enterprise system. So encouraging those builders to seek out those areas to develop will increase the housing.
Okay, thank you very much. We're going to shift gears again, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the management role of the judge in the county with an observation and a realization and then a question. Through the research preparation for tonight, I found out there are indeed 27 elected officials at the county level. That was a surprise to me, but then when I start thinking about it, it makes sense. Challenging situation to have that many electeds under one organization. So my question is as follows. As county judge, how will you work with a wide range of elected officials in the county and the city and other key stakeholders, including ASU, Goodfellow, Chamber of Commerce, and many others to be successful? And we're going to go to Joe Hyde with this one first.
How would I work with everyone in the county? Well, I think you need to express what your mission is. All right, if you don't have a mission, you can't set objectives, and those objectives have to be obtainable. And I think if people understood what your mission is, when you're coming to them, they know what your agenda is. And that softens the approach. The other thing is, in order to set the mission, you need to talk to those 27 elected officials, find out what their pain points are. And really, for the county judge, I see the county judge as the bridge between the taxpayer and the public servants that work in the institution that is the county. I think a good judge will not fall in love with the bureaucracy, but will love the institution and develop credibility and, I think, authority, just like Steve Floyd has, between the county judge, the rest of the people who work in the county, and the taxpayer.
Thank you very much. Todd Kolls, same question. Same question. As county judge, how would you work with this wide range of elected officials in the city, county, and other key stakeholders, including ASU, Goodfellow, Chamber of Commerce, and others?
One of the first things we have to remember is other elected officials, county judge is not their boss. County judge is their coworker. I mean, they do not get to tell those other elected officials what to do. And that needs to be understood from day one. Again, communication. You've got to get in front of these people, and you have to understand that they're looking at you as a leader. And you have to be able to go look at them and say, what are your goals in this job? What do you want out of this? What does your department need? What do we need to do to work together to get that goal accomplished? And so you have to be straightforward, you have to be upfront, and you have to communicate with everyone within the county to let them know, I'm not your boss. I'm here to work with you. I'm here to be your partner. And I take that in everything in my life. I try to do it with my employees. I try to do it with my friends. I try to do it with the city. We're going to have the same kind of talks with the city. So communication is the key.
Thank you very much. Elaine Carter, the same question. As county judge, how would you work with a wide range of elected officials at the city, county, and other key stakeholders, including ASU, Goodfellow, and the Chamber of Commerce, and others?
No doubt that communication is the key to success in those areas. You have to be in constant communication with those entities, ASU, Goodfellow, the other elected officials. We are a well-greased wagon wheel out here. The axle is the facilitation. The spokes are each individual entities, and they all come out to form the rim. The rim is how you affect each other. You have to be on the same page. So knowing what the needs are for those entities, Goodfellow, what are your needs are? What are your needs? How do you intend to expand? How can I help? ASU, what facilities are you going to expand on? What can we do at the county level, the JPs, the commissioners? We have a common goal, and we have to be in constant communication with every official to know that we are on the same page.
Okay, and finally for question number 9, Tommy Usery, same question. As county judge, how would you work with a wide range of elected officials in the city, county, and other key stakeholders, including ASU, Goodfellow, and Chamber of Commerce, and others?
Thank you. I think first and foremost, it's communication. You meet with them either on your turf or on their turf. You might want to do their turf so they feel comfortable. You open that line of communication and you foster a good working relationship where you're concise with each other, you're honest, you're transparent, and you communicate to them your willingness to help them through their problems, whatever problem their departments are having, and help them figure ways to solve their issues. If you can do that with each of those individuals, I'm speaking specifically about the elected officials, you will be successful in running the government. With respect to our partners, ASU, and our other community partners, same thing. You need to go and meet with them and show your willingness to work with them. And same thing, you find out what issues they're having and determine whether or not there's anything that the county can do to be supportive and try to help them work through the process.
Well, I thank you very much. We're going to move to our final question this evening. And we're going to start with Todd Kolls on this one. And it's a relatively simple but an important question. You all are successful business people in your own rights, and the job of county judge is a challenging one, as you all know. So my question is simply, again, starting with Todd, if elected, how much time will you be able to devote to the fulfillment of your duties as county judge?
I will step away from my job, and I will work at my office as a part-time employee after hours. I will be a full-time 8 to 5 Monday through Monday. Actually, it's not going to be 8 to 5. I'm going to be the county judge 24/7, all day, every day. That is what I owe to this county. If I did get elected to that job, these people elected me. They trusted me to take over this job in full. Now, I still will, in my part-time and spare time, work at the office. I'm turning it over to my wife and my manager, and they're really good at telling me what to do and when to do it, so I'm going to just keep listening to them. But no, I'm going to be a full-time job. 3 o'clock in the morning, it does not matter. 24/7 is what this job entails, and that's what I'm going to do.
Thank you very much. Elaine Carter, same question. If elected, how much time will you devote to the fulfillment of your duties as county judge?
I will devote my full time to this position. I currently have an investment property and a construction company, so I've been asked this, what is going to happen to those? Right now, they are well greased with the help of the family. We are in partnership together, and I can step away comfortably to be able to fulfill the needs to the constituents in this area as a full-time county judge. Our current county judge also has spare time, and he does construction as well, so it is possible. If there is a need that I need to look into, I will do it on my own time and not on the constituents' time.
Thank you. Tommy Usery, same question. If elected, how much time will you devote to the fulfillment of your duties as county judge?
The county judge's position is a full-time job. It really is potentially 24/7. I would close my law practice and devote my entirety of my efforts to the county judge position. It's too important to be distracted by other business matters. Certainly as an attorney, there's the potential of conflict of interest between someone I represented in a matter and potentially the judge hearing a matter in front of the court. And so for that, and because I think there's an attorney general opinion out there that suggests that it is a conflict of interest, and I don't want there to be even an appearance of a conflict, I would not practice law. I would devote my entire time to the Greene County judge.
Thank you very much. And rounding out the final question of this evening, we'll have Joe Hyde. If elected, how much time will you devote to the fulfillment of your duties as county judge?
100% of my time will be devoted to being a county judge for you, Greene County. There's some things in the works I can't talk about as far as my business goes, but there's no way I'm going to, even if win or lose on this election, I'll return to San Angelo live. I'll let y'all know that. But 100% of my time, and right now, 100% of my time is like 80 hours a week, and I think Trammell knows that, about 80 hours a week. So, and of course, you'll be on call 24/7, but I'm dedicated to this. When I decided to run, I really had to think hard about it because I'm doing pretty good right now. But my gut tells me and my heart tells me, it's time to do this. So I hope you elect me.
Okay, well, that concludes the questions this evening. I would like to thank all the candidates for their thoughtful responses. If you've never been through this process sitting up here on the stage before, please understand that it's incredibly challenging. So let's give them all a great round of applause for their efforts. We've seen some differences, and we've seen 4 very strong candidates. I'm very honored to be part of this process, and I'm very grateful to each and every one of you for stepping up and being a player in the history of Greene County. Thank you from the Chamber of Commerce. Thank you from myself. We're very, very grateful for your effort. I'd like to make an announcement before we go into the closing statements. We will be right back here, same place, same time for the county commissioners who are running. Different questions, but equally in-depth questions. And we will look forward to seeing you all back here tomorrow if your schedule permits. And we look forward to seeing our county commissioner candidates on this same stage tomorrow, same time. So we're going to move into the closing statements, and we're going to do it per the rules in reverse order. We did the opening statements, and we're going to start with Elaine Carter for his closing statement. 2 minutes, please.
After this week, I feel like it's graduation, so congratulations to the class of 2022 County Judge School. Elaine Carter, once again, running for Greene County Judge. I've served the last 5.5 years on the City Council and have done so proudly. I have loved what I have done for my constituents. It was an absolute pleasure to serve, and I am running for Greene County Judge because I want to serve. That last question about employment, Joe Hyde said it well. I will make more money if I stayed where I was at, but that's not what I want to do. I want to serve our community. I have a servant's heart. I always have had a servant's heart. I want to do this for my kids, y'all's kids, their kids to come, to make this community the best community that they can grow up in. It starts now. Now's the future. Now's the time to prepare for the future. So you will have my heart in it. You will have my 24/7 dedication to you, to the businesses, to the other elected officials and their needs. And also, I want to thank my family for sticking with me through this time. I love y'all. Thank y'all very much for it. I love my community, and I look forward to serving as your next Greene County Judge. Thank you.
Invite Todd to give his closing statement.
Mom, did you hear I graduated?
Yeah.
I have learned a lot about this job in the last 6 months of doing this. I have learned that the main thing I've learned is that I would love this job. Everything about it. I get into it and I just keep researching. I keep going. I keep making phone calls. I know Judge Floyd gets a little tired of me calling him, but we have a little kind of going joke that, hey, Judge, you got a quick minute? And he says, so long as you've got a long time for an answer. These are complex issues, and it's hard to answer them in a 1-minute forum. One other thing I'm going to say about the other three guys sitting up here, it's been fun. This is our last forum together, and we've had fun together, and I've gotten to know these guys, but more important than that, really, I've gotten to know myself a little bit better in all of this. And I've got to say, I've had a lot of fun doing it because I want to give back to my community. I want to do this job, and I want to do this job so well that I get to continue to do this job. And I hope I get to do this job so well that no one comes and runs against me in 4 years, because I'm not a huge fan of the campaigning part of it. But the job itself, I know I would be good at. I know I would love, and I know I would be a good, calm leader for our community. And I've got to give a small shout out here. I see Mr. Gary Jenkins sitting back here. He is our 5th candidate, y'all. And I sure hope he's having fun with it. I sure hope I get to know him better. But I'm having fun with this. And I'm going to continue to serve my community, and I'm going to continue to help this community grow. And I hope you elect me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to Joe Hyde to give his final closing statement.
The final word.
The final closing statement.
Usery's going to get the final word. Hi, Gary. I can't wait to see you. I'm coming. I think the one thing I want to point out before I go is, when I say I'm going to lower the tax rate, I mean it. I've looked at it. I've researched it. These guys are not going to lower your tax rate. They're going to get in there and they're going to say, well, humna. But I know we can do this. I can tell you, we got sales taxes up 23% this year. We got property tax gone from $6 billion to $7.5 billion in just a couple of years. It's probably going to go up even faster. We have the public defender office that's going to reduce a lot of the budgeting for the public defenders. I could go on and on and on about the revenue sources coming in. We already have 2 cents per year programmed out for lowering the tax rate. If we hold the line on spending, we can do this. We can do this, and that's my pledge to you. There's no other candidate out there that has that pledge. I don't know, when I say I'm going to do that, I mean, it's just like going in the Air Force. When you make a mission, you look for objectives, and you try to see if those objectives are measurable. You want those objectives to be obtainable. It's a clearly an obtainable objective, and it puts you in the driver's seat, gives you a seat at the table when we're talking about the budget each year. I want to be able to say, but I have a promise, a pledge to the taxpayer. I want to be able to use that as a tool when I negotiate with all these 27 elected officials. Anyway, more about me. I went to A&M, graduated, went to pilot training, got out 20 years later. I've been a serial entrepreneur ever since. I think I've started 4 or 5 businesses. I can't even count them anymore. I failed on one and am successful on all the rest of them. So that's me, Joe Hyde. Vote for me on March 1st and Valentine's Day. You can have me as your Valentine on Valentine's Day. That's when early voting starts. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and we'll close this evening with... Sorry, got ahead of that. We're going to close this evening with Tommy Usery. Closing statement, please, sir.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here tonight. Tommy Usery, I'm asking for your vote for Tom Greene County Judge. Your vote for this position is critical to the welfare and the future of this community. Tom Greene County, the livability, the viability, and the fun that can be had here. It's going to take a good steward to do that. I'm not saying that these gentlemen are not good stewards. I think they are. I think they want the best for the community. How do you choose one candidate from the other? We're all probably very well qualified to do this. The question is, what is the differences? You've heard some of those differences here tonight. I would suggest to you that we all have a commitment to service to our community. And I've shown that throughout my 40-something year career, 20 years on the front line in law enforcement, through every bump, through every scratch, through every cut, through every disappointment, for every death notification, for every accident investigation, for every disaster. I've shown it through 26 years of serving my community as an attorney in the front lines, in the courtroom, helping my clients resolve legal issues, many of them very serious legal issues. Being the county judge in Tom Greene County is an extension of my community service commitment. I've shown that and dedicated my life to do that. So how do you make a choice between the four of us? I think it's as simple as this. How long will it take these gentlemen to become ready to perform 40% of the job, which is judicial work, actually hearing cases of property and rights under the law? I can walk in on day one and do that, and they're going to have to go to judge school. The rest of us are going to have some lead time in administrative issues, but I can do 40% of this on day one. I ask you to vote for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to make a brief close myself because I can do that as moderator. Chamber of Commerce is in all matters political neutral by design, and that's a good place for us to be. We don't endorse candidates, but we do endorse the process. It's up to each and every one of us to ensure that this election gets a higher voter turnout than we've historically seen in Tom Greene County and in the nation in general. It's a disgrace, frankly, for, I'll call us a democracy, though we're a republic, the greatest democracy in the world, to have such low voter participation, particularly at the local level. All politics is local. The county judge will affect your life every day, and that job is an important one for you to participate in terms of the selection process. You're here, you're going to vote. I know people turn out to forums are going to vote. Get others to vote. I want to see that percentage participation on the part of Tom Greene County be something we're proud of versus something we're embarrassed about. So Chamber's going to be very involved in getting out the vote effort. I need your help to do that as well. So let's make sure we show a strong mandate for one of these great four candidates as they embark on service to our community as county judge. One more time for the four candidates up front. Let's give them a big, big round of applause.